Hi everyone, and welcome. My name is Roxy and today we are diving into one of the most exciting and occasionally terrifying parts of launching a startup, your founding team. We will look at how to build the right team, how to avoid common traps, and how to actually stay friends while building a company together. And we will get to know a fantastic tool called the Team Canvas, which can save you a lot of awkward conversations down the road. Let's take a look at today's agenda. Alright, before we dive in, let me give you a quick sense of what's ahead. Today's session is all about the real engine behind any startup, the team. Not the tech, not the pitch deck, it's the people around the table that make or break it. We will explore why teams fall apart, how to avoid the usual traps, and what it actually takes to build a team that sticks together when things get messy, because trust me, they will. We will talk about awkward money conversations, the startup version of couples counseling, and a clever little tool that might just save your sanity. So, whether you are already building a team or still searching for the one, there is something in here for you. Let's get into it. Let's be real, ideas are cheap. What really makes a startup work is the team behind it. Most investors will tell you they would rather back a great team with a shaky idea than a weak team with a brilliant concept. Because ideas can pivot. People, not so much. Startup life is messy. If your team can't handle stress, feedback, and 15-hour days together, you have got a problem. This slide is basically a greatest hits album of how startups manage to trip over their own feet. One very common problem is that teams are built around comfort rather than balance. People team up with others who think like them, studied the same thing, or come from the same background. It feels easy at first, until you realize that no one actually wants to talk to customers, sell the product, or make tough decisions. Suddenly, important gaps appear, and no one is really owning them. Another classic issue is a lack of clarity. In the early days, everything feels informal and flexible, which sounds nice, but often means that responsibilities are blurry. Tasks fall through the cracks, decisions get delayed, and frustration starts to build, usually quietly, until it explodes at exactly the wrong moment. Then there's the friendship trap. Founders often start as friends, which can be a real strength. But friendship also makes it harder to talk about uncomfortable topics, especially money, ownership, and expectations. Those conversations get postponed because no one wants to ruin the mood. The problem is, they don't disappear. They just come back later with much higher stakes. And finally, there's the famous line. We don't need a founder agreement. We trust each other. Trust is great. But trust without structure is fragile. The moment pressure increases, deadlines, cash shortages, or personal stress, that trust gets tested very quickly. The good news is most of these problems are avoidable, not by working harder or being nicer, but by having the right conversations early on. They are rarely fun conversations, but they are absolutely essential ones. Now, when we talk about startup teams, we're not just talking about job titles. We're talking about roles, the kind of energy, mindset, and focus each person brings to the table. A classic way of framing this is with the hustler, hipster, hacker model. It is a bit of a stereotype, but it does the job. You have got the hustler, the one pitching the vision, chasing down leads, getting people excited, often the CEO. Then there is the hipster, the creative mind, obsessed with design, branding, and the user experience. And finally, the hacker, the person who can actually build the thing you are promising to the world. Now, do you need to have exactly these three in every startup? No, of course not. But what you do need is complementary strengths, different lenses, people who can challenge each other is thinking, not just nod along in agreement. What often happens, especially in university-founded teams, is that everyone has the same background, 3 engineers, or 3 business students. It feels safe, but it quickly becomes a problem when, say, nobody wants to deal with customers, or no one really knows how to turn a prototype into something people want to pay for. So think less about the labels, and more about the balance. Who is driving the vision? Who is keeping the user in mind? Who is building? Who is selling? Who is keeping track of the numbers? And here is a little test. If no one on your team would feel even remotely comfortable picking up the phone and talking to a customer, you have got a gap that needs fixing. It is not about doing everything, but knowing who is doing what, and making sure the core roles are covered, not duplicated. Choosing a co-founder really is a bit like dating, just with higher stakes and far less romance. At the start, everything feels exciting and full of potential, but the real test comes when pressure kicks in, things do not go to plan, and decisions suddenly matter a lot more. What truly counts is not how well you get along on a good day, but how aligned you are when things get uncomfortable. Shared values, similar expectations about speed and ambition, and a common view on where this journey might end make a huge difference. Just as important is the ability to talk openly, especially when opinions clash or mistakes are made. And then there is trust. Not the friendly, coffee chat kind of trust, but the serious version. Trust around money, responsibility, and tough calls. If you have never had a proper disagreement, that is usually not a sign of harmony. It is a sign you have not tested the relationship yet. The goal is not to avoid conflict, but to know you can handle it together. Now we have reached the part everyone secretly hopes to skip: equity. It is uncomfortable, emotional, and very easy to get wrong. Everyone has a reason why their contribution feels essential, and in the early days, all of it usually is essential in some way. That is why the quick and easy solution often looks like an equal split. It feels fair, avoids conflict, and lets you move on. The problem is, it does not always reflect reality, and it can cause serious trouble later on. What really matters is having an honest look at who is contributing what, how much risk each person is taking, and how involved they will be over time. Equity should reflect commitment and responsibility, not just good intentions at the start. The goal here is not to keep everyone happy in the moment. It is to create a setup that still feels fair when things get tough. Fair beats friendly, every single time. So you have got your founding team in place, great. But now comes the real challenge: staying aligned as things evolve, pressure builds, and the honeymoon phase fades. This is where the team canvas comes in. It is a deceptively simple tool, but it opens up some seriously meaningful conversations. Things like, why are we actually doing this? What do we each want out of it? Who is doing what, and how do we work through disagreements? It gives you space to surface assumptions that would otherwise stay hidden until it is too late. The best part: it is collaborative. You are not filling it in about each other, you are filling it in with each other. It is basically couples therapy for startups, without the awkward couch and emotional baggage. Well, mostly. So how do you actually use the team canvas without turning it into yet another team-building gimmick? It is simple, but surprisingly powerful. Each person starts by filling it out on their own. No groupthink, no pressure. Then you come together and talk through it all, line by line. It is not about agreeing on everything straight away. It is about understanding where you are aligned and where you are not. And honesty is key here. This is not the moment to say, I'm easy, or whatever works for the group. If something matters to you, say it. It is much easier to talk about expectations now than to untangle resentment later. The real value of the canvas is that it makes the invisible visible. It gets assumptions, hopes, and potential friction points out in the open before they turn into proper conflicts. And ideally, you revisit it regularly because your team, your goals, and your roles will shift over time. It is a living document, not a one-off exercise. You will cover things like: what are our shared and personal goals? How do we give feedback? How do we make decisions? What are our non-negotiables? Who does what, and what happens if someone drops the ball? It helps prevent all those unspoken, I thought you were doing that, moments. So, to wrap it up, a great team is your best startup asset. Talk early, talk openly, even when it's awkward. Use the team canvas to create alignment and trust. Write down agreements, roles, equity, decision-making, all of it. And check in regularly, not just on tasks, but on each other. Because in the end, your product might pivot, your market might change, but your team? That is what holds it all together. Thanks for listening, and good luck building your dream team.